Hello everybody, this is the Starfield blog about missions and missions I intend to create in future mods because I'm a mission guy. Now you must have seen the AI videos by now where I talk about smart AIs and the possibilities. Well, you imagine a smart AI giving you missions or not giving you missions if it doesn't like you, you know? Says, but imagine a smart AI, right? Able to make decisions that aren't simple, go here, do that, we've got 10 quests, so here's the first one. But you have to do things that make him more compliant. So you get past all that, you've got your missions, now what, right? Remember in the world and systems video I made, came out yesterday, I was talking about Bethesda generating their worlds in the studio, then saving them off into the game so they're already made. And what would happen if they had one outpost on every one of the 1,000 planets they've made? That would be 1,000 locations for missions. Well, think about that for a second. 1,000 locations. Now, suppose I made a script that knew every one of those locations and could randomly pick one for the point of a mission. Now, that would be a pretty dull and repetitive, radiant AI. The kind of thing I did in Oblivion with my original Fighters Guild mod, which Bethesda did in Skyrim, so I was ahead of the curve there. Then I started to improve upon with my NCR mod for Fallout New Vegas. I was way ahead of the curve there. I mean, my NCR mod was ahead of Skyrim mission system. It was pretty nifty. So if you imagine a scale of 1 to 10 where mission generation, right, starts at 1 with my Fighters Guild mod for Oblivion, Skyrim was just above it there. But my Fallout New Vegas from years earlier was up here. And my Fighters Guild mod for Skyrim was up here. So it's light years difference, in quality and interest. So we start not here where Bethesda are, but up here with these new missions. So don't think of it as radiant AI, go here, go there, because it's not. What it is you go to these locations, you find out a little bit about them, who's there, what they are, and you make a story. You make a story to back it up. So you've got 1,000 stories in the world, 1,000 backgrounds, 1,000 things going on, right? And you can send your send your player there to do missions. And each one of them has a little story. Some of them might not attack you. Some of them might ask you to go and kill off a beast that's been hunting settlers and things like that. Some of them might be pirates. Some might require you be aligned with pirates in order to even talk to you, and they might not want to talk to you. So there might be two outcomes: talk and do the mission, or kill them. So there could be a lot of different outcomes based on your alignment, whether you're in a pirate group or not in a pirate group, whether you're law and order or pro chaos. So you could start off being given a mission with no idea which way it's going to go till you get there. Now, you've got all of this coming together on top of the smart AI system, remember, as well. So it's not a radiant system at all. Well, it is a radiant system, but it's a much smarter radiant system. So imagine you go to the pirate thing and they said, okay, look, we know you've been set to do this, but I've got a better idea for you. There's a lot of loot in that place over there, right? And I make a place, like an outpost, and make it heavily armed. Now we're going to attack it. You want to join us? Suddenly you've got an army of pirates attacking a heavily armed outpost to get the loot. It's not just a go there and kill this, it's a go there and assault a fortress. So there's lots of different ways we can manipulate this and go with it, but each could have its own story. I mean, these pirates might not be pirates, in the traditional sense. Maybe the powers that be have unfairly prosecuted them for something and they've gone on the run. And now they live beyond the law because they had no choice. Maybe it's that. And excuse the noise, by the way, because they've got a building site next door and they've got heavy diggers out there. So there's nothing I can do about it. But anyway, they're making a right racket now anyway. But anyway, if you were to think of it in those terms, then even if you've got the bug planet thing, which I'm always joking about, right? What if there's an outpost being established on a bug planet? What if you have to go down there and help them get started? So the first thing you do is you put down your little huts and your defences, and you start off with small attacks. And then next thing you do, you're building up walls and heavier defences and bringing in mercenaries to defend it and things like that. And the base is getting bigger and bigger, and suddenly it's a mission location in its own right. You do missions from around the entire planet on there. And maybe if there's vehicles involved in the game, use a vehicle to drive to a location further away through this bug-infested planet in order to do a mission and then drive back. So we're talking about quite a lot of very interesting quests. And some of the stories might exist, might have past history. Some of them might be, you might be making the history yourself by establishing the settlement, which then grows on this planet and slowly takes over the planet. So we could write a whole mod based on you establishing a colony that defeats these bugs and then turns the planet into a paradise world. We could literally do a whole mod based on that one story. And then you'd be creating your own background. And that background could be drawn upon in other mods, If we imagine the world was called Paradise, and it was a bit ironic because it was full of bugs, and then you make it into a paradise, and then another mod refers to it because it knows, me, I can have my mods talk to each other, right? It knows this world existed, it knows this world has been turned into a paradise, and they try to do the same thing elsewhere and fail utterly because it's just a different circumstances. Then you can have a bit of a background story going on, which you made happen. So there's lots of stuff. It's just amazing what you can do if you think about the number of outposts and the number of quests, because it's just a database, a list. Parrot world, Law and Order world, Law and Order world, Law and Order world, Law and Order world. Which one do we want? We'll go parrots. Okay, which parrots are there? They're the red parrots, they're the blue parrots, they're the green parrots. That's the Justice League. That's whatever, the law side of things. That's Batman. And you can generate all kinds of missions. I mean, if you went to one world, which was a rock, right, a dark rock, you might just have a standard sheriff there, right, who needs a bit of help. Gunfight at the OK moon base, kind of thing. Then you go to a major city, and it's very different. You've got rich culture and gangs and stuff. You've got to blend in. You've got to become part of the gang or part of the culture in order to be trusted. Maybe that involves dressing the part. Maybe that involves acting the part. Maybe that includes doing missions or all of the above. These are all backgrounds to missions. Instead of go there, do that, kill him, you go there, buy the clothes, act the part, do the missions, learn the culture, and then you can get on with the mission. See? So it becomes a lot more involving, each one. Now, how do you do it? Well, quite frankly, factions. Factions allow you to own territory. They allow you to be able to interact with things without triggering any law-breaking responses. So if I add you to a faction that was a planetary faction, that means they've accepted you on that planet, and suddenly anything locals could do, you could do. All I have to do is have a system where you're like, what's the word for it? You're judged based on local standards. When you meet local standards, you get above a certain point, you're added to the faction. And you go higher, you rise up the faction, so you become more important locally than simply being a local, right? So you unlock more things, and that's how you do it. It's dead simple. If in faction, do this. If not in faction, keep your mouth shut. Don't say anything to this stranger. If in faction and your rank is 10, this guy's a god on this planet, you can trust him with your life. It is dead easy. And it's just a check on a speech bubble, on a speech thing. You put a faction down, a required faction and a ranking faction, and this is available in all Bethesda's games, and you can unlock things like that. So you could have different responses. You could have two lines. One is a hello friend, and one is a I'm going to shoot you in the head enemy in a response. So these standard mission types that people think are boring need not be boring. You might put it this way: when you accept a mission, you might stand no chance of finishing it because you've already burnt your bridges with the faction you're going to help. By the time you get there, they'll think, you again, kill him. Instead of, we need your help doing this, they just don't, we won't accept your help and they'll try and kill you on the spot. So you end up in a gunfight to try and get away. Life's a lot more interesting in Starfield than you might think. Especially if I continue the development of the factions and stuff like I was doing in Skyrim and Fallout New Vegas before that. Because I've come a long way in my faction designs now. A long way. I'm quite proud of the progress I've made. And I've identified several areas where we can improve things dramatically and make it a lot more interesting. And when Starfield comes out, that process of making better and better factions will increase, will continue. And hopefully we'll start approaching something that's not just an empty room with an NPC in it that's offering you missions, but it's a place that feels alive. That's the end goal. A place that feels alive, has human reactions to human problems, and you're part of it, and you feel like you're talking to a player, not a computer-generated sprite. So that's what you heard before. I bet Sprite, that's an old one. Anyway, that's just basic. That's like an icon that moved. Movement. Yeah. Anyway, that's it. This is what I'm talking about. There's tons of options. I hope my enthusiasm for this is actually rubbing off and you start to understand, some of the excitement here. Because if I make a city and I fill it full of factions, this would be one epic mod. One massively epic mod. It could be like Kvatch, except for there'd be hundreds of factions in it, each with their own agendas, and there won't necessarily be agendas inside the city. They could be outside in the world, So if I just start there and just progress from there, I can imagine that you go to that city and all my missions are available in that one place. I mean, I could make the world, put the city on it, do all kinds of stuff. I could stick it on an existing moon. Anyway, missions shouldn't be go here, kill that, come back. They don't have to be that boring. They could be a lot more interesting, a lot deeper, provide a lot more lore, a lot more background information. Of course, I have to learn as much as I can about the game's story, backstory and lore first before I can start using it. I can create my own initially, obviously, but I wouldn't want to make anything that didn't fit in the game, because it ruins it takes away from the feel of the game. When someone supports the gameplay, it works a lot better, and I like my work to become part of the game and not feel like it's bolted on. So anyway, that's missions for you. Any ideas you've got, place them below. I've got another video coming up talking about missions, about your ideas, which I encourage you to respond to, because it's a good way of hearing what you want to see and give me time to think about it, because there might be ways of making it all work together. See you in the next one, and have fun.